Welcome in everyone and welcome to the Cup of Tea channel. So we've just had our final Campfire live stream this year from the developers. It was hosted by Adam Fletcher, Joe Shelley, as well as Joe Piora. They gave us a little bit more information of what's to come in December, such as the Abattoir of Zir, which will be dropping December 5th, our first seasonal holiday event, December 12th, which is known as the Midwinter Blight. And they also touched upon subjects such as itemization changes they want to be implementing for the future. And of course, at the end of the Campfire chat live stream, the developers held a Q&A where the player base and community could ask some questions and also have some of the feedback addressed back to us as well. So this video is just going to be covering over the topics that were discussed for this Campfire chat. So without further ado, let's get started. So before they actually went into the main topic of the Campfire chat, they wanted to address the pay for power rumors. There was a leak put online recently saying they were going to be trying to implement in the future some pay to win or pay for convenience features, to which Joe Shelley responded,
"Yeah, no."
And to hear that from the developers themselves, that is a huge relief for myself and also the community. But they did also add they want to be making improvements to the stash inventory spacing. For one aspect, removing that from your inventory spacing to give you more room, and additionally creating ways that the player's baseline needs are more functional. So the first part of the Campfire chat I want to talk about is the Abattoir of Zir. This is going to be new seasonal content coming out on December 5th. I actually have done a video already going into detail of what it's all about, how to access it, and the rewards that you can get from it. So if you want to check that out, I'll drop a description in the link below. So with the Campfire chat, they actually gave us a live playthrough of the Abattoir itself with Rich Bounty playing on his Sorcerer, but he actually did a run without using the new glyph that's going to be coming in the season, the Tears of Blood. And the reason for this, he just wanted to demonstrate how current builds fare within the new dungeon. And before we watch the footage, I just want to set a reminder to anyone that hasn't done so yet: you must complete all your seasonal journey tiers to be able to partake in the Abattoir. So be sure you have that completed for December 5th so you can get right on into that content as soon as it's out. But we now move on to some footage from the Abattoir itself. Rich first does a tier 1, which is the equivalent of a Nightmare Dungeon 100. And then afterwards he does try a tier 10, to which unfortunately he does perish. What I have learned from this footage, you only get one chance to actually complete this run. If you do die, you will lose this run. And in addition, if you do decide to party up, if one party member does die during the run, that is the run over. You do not get an opportunity to resurrect a party member. What I've also discovered is you won't know what the affixes are for the Abattoir until you enter the dungeon itself. In addition, the monsters, tile sets, and layouts are all randomized each time. They've suggested that you cap your resistances as best you can, because damage resistance is going to play a vital role for you to survive these. And finally, to add, as you can see, this is a great way to earn some experience for those glyphs, especially leveling up the new one that's dropping this season, the Tears of Blood. Simply by completing a tier 1, you can earn up to 1,000 experience, and this will increase the higher the tier. We're now going to move over to the next part of the Campfire chat, and that is our first seasonal holiday event. This is going to be called the Midwinter Blight event, which will be dropping December 12th. And with it, it's going to be an event held in the Fractured Peaks. You're going to go to Kiovashad, where you're going to meet a new character called Gillian, and he is a bard seeking out heroes to be able to defeat the Red Cloaked Horror. With it, we're going to be receiving some pretty cool cosmetic rewards, but in addition, some pretty useful items too. To earn these cosmetics, you will have to earn trophies by either completing events, killing monsters, or defeating the occasional boss spawn. And in addition, they'll be introducing a new elixir which will give you a 10% experience increase, as well as other effects. They're actually also going to be bringing in a new seasonal aspect as well. So for the potions and this, you want to be farming as many as you can, because after the event, these will no longer be obtainable, but will persist after the event. So the third main point they talked about during the Campfire chat was the itemization. We haven't really received anything solid, but they have addressed it and they are working on ways to improve it. They have actually admitted they are working with content creators and partners of Diablo 4 to come up with ways to actually improve this system, but this won't be implemented into the system until season 4. So we're not going to see anything anytime soon. So what the developers want to do is they want to make changes to the gear in terms of affixes and stats to make a lot more sense for builds. One of the issues they have noticed, some players are actually having to completely change their build out just because of the items that they're receiving. Instead, they want stats to actually be offering 80% of ideally what you want for your build, so at least you're still receiving an upgrade, even if you're not getting the perfect rolls that you need on an item. In addition, they want to make some changes to gear as well in terms of what stats and affixes they offer. So for example, if you got Barbarian Gloves, sometimes you would get a core skill rank upgrade. So for example, 2 to 3 levels of upheaval, and then it would offer another one for 2 ranks for Hammer of the Ancients. So instead, what would have been Hammer of the Ancients rank will now be instead a more ideal stat, increasing the likelihood of you receiving an upgrade. They also touched upon the topic of where you can actually earn 925 item level gear when you're near level 100, so it's not just gatekeep behind Duriel, end game bosses, as well as world bosses. They actually want you to be able to achieve it around Tree of Whispers, Orbles, as well as Nightmare Dungeons. So in this season alone, Blizzard have actually noticed players have been struggling to be able to farm Forgotten Souls. To fix this, they're actually going to be implementing a change to Hell Tides. So after the event has ended, it's actually going to be a 5-minute wait time before a new Hell Tide actually spawns, meaning you're going to be able to farm a lot more Forgotten Souls and also a lot more Living Steels. We now move to the final section of the Campfire chat video, which is where we had our Q&A. This allowed players to ask the developers a couple of questions in terms of future content or ideas that they could implement into the game. In addition, we are going to be receiving some new color palettes for our characters' armor customizations. So if you want to be running around as a pink barbarian, that's going to be happening very soon. And then in addition, we did ask about the loot filter as well. They did say that most ARPGs, including Diablo 4, should have a feature like this, but because they're still working on the itemization changes, they can't really implement it now until they actually bring in that big change first. And then to finally add, one of the questions that was asked was about changes to skills and abilities. For example, necromancers do have the issue of movement speed, and were they going to implement something to actually fix or address this issue? They said this is more something that they can't just do in a simple patch because of a whole balancing issue. So this is something more when a larger patch comes out, they can then maybe address or implement something to actually help solve these issues. And that brings us to the end of the video right there. I hope you found this video super useful. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more Diablo 4 content. I'm also going to be streaming on Twitch when the Abattoir of Zir does drop. You can find me over at twitch.tv/cuppa__t. And I hope to see you there, goblins. But until then, take care.